Alright, fellow sleuths, time to take a look at the second episode of the day, The Phantom of Bonny Scot. Excuse me. Nancy dreams of kissing Owen, who becomes Nick. She investigates a strange thudding under the stairs when dead Lucy startles her awake. Nancy takes this as a message and looks under the stairs at her mother's old files, and she discovers that her mother was Lucy's high school guidance counselor, but Lucy's folder is empty. Nancy visits her father in prison to talk to him about the missing file. They suspect Everett Hudson may have stolen the file while visiting Carson's home office. Nancy calls Owen and heads to the club, where she runs into Bess, who's anxious about meeting her Aunt Diana Marvin that day. Nick has his final meeting with his court-appointed counselor, Keenan. George meets with Don Ziegler, the landlord of the club, who's considering selling the location. Nancy visits Everett Hudson and asks for his help getting her father to prison. He asks her to find out what Owen has about the Bonny Scot. On her way out, Nancy sees Lucy's ghost that leads her to a painting. Beth shows Lisbeth the van she's been living out of, and she opens up about her past. Lisbeth encourages her to be herself, so Beth shifts to her natural British accent. George asks Ryan Hudson for a loan to help with the claw, but he can't help her. Nancy asks Beth about Owen, and they go to talk to him because he's been avoiding Nancy's calls. When they catch up to him, he introduces them to Bashir, the sole survivor of the Bonny Scot. Bashir tells the three about the Bonny Scot, which didn't have any cargo and which sank because a bomb exploded, and Bashir is too afraid to come forward. Outside, Owen and Nancy have a moment in which he points out how cutthroat Nancy can be, while Bess takes a lift to get lunch with her Aunt Diana. At the Claw, George and Nick talk about the financial situation, and they come up with a plan to throw a party to raise some money. Bess meets with Diana, who welcomes her into the family to help with business situations provided she help the Marvin way. She asks Bess to have lunch with Amaya Elson, with the implication that it might lead to a relationship. But Bess's relationship with Elizabeth can't be serious because Marvins don't marry drivers. George and Nick prepare the club for a party. Nancy comes in and tells Nick about her dilemma, and suggests they go and visit Bashir because she remembers the time on the broken clock and the seal door damage of his apartment. They run out and arrive to find Bashir as being haunted by the crew of the Bonny Scot. Bashir has been haunted for the past 3 weeks, ever since the crew performed the seance. Nancy encourages him to come forward to make it right and to come make the haunting stop. The next day, Nancy meets with Ryan Hudson for advice on his father, with Lisbeth there as Ryan's driver. Nick returns to the Claw, but George is cold because he ran out on her, and she suggests he stop making other people's projects and work on himself. Meanwhile, the Marvins and Hudsons have dinner and they trade barbs. Nancy arrives to speak with Everett and apparently betrays Owen by revealing the fact that Owen has found a survivor of the Bonny Scot. The Marvins and Hudsons confront each other. Celia Hudson says the insurance payout was pennies compared to what they lost from Sebastian's death, while Dana Marvin suggests that Everett acted in revenge because Celia and Sebastian were having an affair. Nancy tells Everett about the evidence, and he offers a green card and retirement package for Bashir to make this go away. He transfers some money to Bashir's account, but Elizabeth and police arrive to arrest him because it was a setup. Nancy remembers the dripping blood from Hudson's painting and discovers a secret compartment with an envelope containing Lucy's missing guidance counselor file. Outside, Owen congratulates Nancy and it's revealed that he was in on the plan. They kiss and Owen asks if he can finally take her out, but she declines. Celia tells Ryan that Everett will be out of prison soon, but Ryan is upset that he murdered Sebastian for revenge and killed 11 other men in the process. Ryan reveals he had his Grecian urn, that was supposed to be on the Bonny Scot, and he wants to take charge of family operations now. The party at the club is going really well, but Dawn tells George that she's selling the place anyway. Well, that's not good. Lisbeth and Bess meet up at Bess's van where they confess that they're falling for each other. Here, stop it. Bess gets a text from Owen about meeting Amaya Elson tomorrow, which she reads while Lisbeth is asleep. After the party, George is upset about the sale, but Nick reveals that he's the one who made the offer. George is initially resistant because she doesn't want Nick to cash the bonds, but this is something Nick wants for himself. Nancy has to call with her father, and she finally pushes him to take action to help her. Nick waits with Bashir to their usual time, and they confirm that the haunting has stopped. Nick texts the news to Nancy. Nancy reviews Lucy's guidance counselor file and learns that Lucy's mother might be a suspect. Celia makes a phone call to permanently make sure that Carson Drew doesn't talk. Well, that's not good. So overall, I think this episode is once again pretty interesting, and yeah, I'm just really worried about what's gonna happen to Carson next episode. So yeah. So overall, I give The Phantom of Bonny Scot 4 Deerstalkers out of 5. When we tune in a bit as we take a look at the final episode of the day, The Lady of Larkspur Lane. So until then, remember everyone, the game's afoot.